Hey, what's up guys? So this is going to be the 2018 What's in Your Bag video. It's been about 2 years since I did the last What's in Your Bag video, and I've bought a ton more gear, probably tripled, quadrupled the amount of gear I have. So we're gonna go over all of it again and let you know what I would recommend buying and what I'd recommend not buying. So let's start with the camera gear, the cameras and lenses. This is the first camera I bought. That was the T3i, and upgraded later to the 5D Mark III was my next camera, and I still have both of those. I don't really use either of those. I use the Mark III for photos still. Don't use the T3i anymore. That's mostly just for memories because it was my first camera. Canon sent me a 6D Mark II, which I don't use a lot. I actually lend this out to people to use since I didn't actually have to pay for it. Eventually upgraded to the 1DC, which I sold in order to get the 1DX Mark II. And you see we have two 1DX Mark IIs right here. My next biggest camera is the C200. Now, in all honesty, I don't use this a ton. I thought it would be a great hybrid between the Canon 1DX Mark II and my Red because it shoots RAW, better dynamic range, a better overall cinema camera over the 1DX Mark II, but it's not going to have as bad of battery life and a few other things that are drawbacks to the Red. But comparing it to the Red, I just don't love the image quality as much, and so I have a hard time using it. I just either pull out my Red or stick to my 1DX Mark II, which is much better for run and gun. Not nearly as big and bulky as the C200. It does continuous shooting, so it doesn't max out at 30 minutes like the 1DX Mark II. And it has great autofocus, which the Red doesn't have, so there is a place for it. And then obviously the big boy, the Red Dragon 6K camera. I've had for a couple years now and absolutely love it. Amazing quality, however, it is super heavy, the battery life is super bad, and it takes up a ton of space. So, and it doesn't do amazing autofocus like my awesome Canon cameras do. So there are drawbacks, the biggest of which is it's very expensive, but the image quality is next to none. These guys just can't quite compete with it. I do love the 1DX colors better than the Red weapon colors straight out of camera, but the Red obviously shoots RAW, so you have tons of flexibility to manipulate those colors, but it does take a lot more time in post. So that's my current camera lineup. I also own the SL2. You guys saw the review I did on that guy. Go check it out if you haven't. Amazing startup camera. This is one I recommend people get, the SL2. If you're just starting out and get it for like 500 bucks. Let's move on to lenses now. Like I said, got the old 50mm, that one of my first lenses I got. Moving to our full frame lenses. The go-to lens I've used for a long time is that 16 to 35mm lens. This is version 2. I recently just got the 16 to 35 version 3. A little bit sharper, a little bit better image quality overall. My next biggest lens I use is the 24 to 70. Great wedding lens I use. And these are all L series lenses, by the way, guys. 24 to 105. This is an image stabilizing lens that is a 4.0 aperture, so I don't use it a lot because I love the 2.8 look that you get. Next lens we got here, I recently got this, bought it off my brother actually. It's the Canon 100mm macro lens. So this is a specialty lens that allows you to get really close to subjects to get a super tight macro shot. I think the only time I've really used it is for wedding videos when I'm trying to get a tight shot on just the rings and you want to see every little detail so you get super tight. Other than that, not a ton of uses for that. Wouldn't recommend it. Next lens is the 12mm Laowa. This guy I only got because I have crop sensor cameras. 4K on the 1DX is a 1.35 crop and the Red shoots a 1.25 crop. So having this 12mm allows me to get a 16mm look on a full frame if I'm shooting crop sensor, and about a 15mm on my Red, so gives it close to that 16mm look of my Canon lenses. So really great if you have a crop sensor lens. If you're shooting on full frame, this is probably too wide for anything. I can't see anything you'd need 12mm for on a full frame. Sigma 18 to 35. This is an amazing lens for the price. It is a crop sensor lens, however, so don't buy this if you're going full frame or else you will see inside the barrel. This goes down to a 1.8 aperture and it's pretty dang wide, so that's a really awesome lens for shooting low light but still wanting that wide image. By the way, guys, I love Sigma art lenses. Next to Canon lenses, I think they're some of the best lenses out there. The reason why I use Sigma primes versus Canon primes is because in a lot of regards they're a lot cheaper, sometimes half the price of Canon primes. They're not weather sealed. Canon lenses are, so that's one drawback, and they are a bit heavier, but absolutely love my Sigma arts. This 20mm Sigma art I use for all of my tutorials that you see me shoot in my office. So I use this a ton. My Sigma 50mm I use a ton as well. I love this for kind of that handheld look. Pretty much anytime I want to make it look like I'm documenting something, I pop this on, shoot at 1.4 aperture, and get that super shallow depth of field. And then the 85mm, I don't use this a ton, but this is awesome for portraits. As you guys know, between 70 and 100mm, it's great for faces. That's really great to get a 1.4 shallow depth of field at a tight focal length. The last lens is the 70 to 200, which has been amazing. One of the first lenses I bought. I use this for anything that I can't get super close, I need to zoom in on. So there is a look at my cameras and lenses. I will say though that investing in lenses is probably one of those things that lasts a longer time. I mean, my 16 to 35 has lasted 6 years now, whereas you've seen I've gone through 6 different cameras before I bought a second 16 to 35mm lens. So lenses stand the test of time a lot better than camera bodies. Let's move on now to our stabilizer corner here. Oh, that's the Ronin S. Keep filming. It's the Ronin S. Quick, clear the table. This is the Ronin S. Bought it like 2 months ago. Been back ordered for who knows how long. And it has finally arrived. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll come back to that. All right, moving on to our stabilizer corner. The go-to, as you guys know, is my trusty GlideCam. This is the first one I got, was the GlideCam HD 2000. Devin Graham series GlideCam was right here. I have the Devin Graham gimbal, and I've swapped out for my 4000 head. As you guys know, I like to hybrid, so I have my Devin Graham series GlideCam head with my HD 4000 gimbal. So this is my go-to that I use for pretty much everything. 80% of the videos I shoot is on this guy, but all these GlideCams are going to be awesome. If you get the HD series though, you do have to get one of these Manfrotto plates. And by the way guys, everything that we're talking about here you can see at kit.com/Parker Walbeck. So anything you want to buy in my office or in my bag, you can see there. Then you guys have seen I did the comparison of the Flycam Red King, a great budget option. They basically ripped off GlideCam, which I'm not a big fan of because I love GlideCam. Not as good as a GlideCam, but for the price, it's a good option. Next, we have our Zhiyun Crane 2. It's really good, I promise. I just didn't have that Titan. Another great option for stabilizers. I recommend to anybody who's going to go with motorized gimbals to also learn the GlideCam at some point in your careers. If you limit yourself to only knowing how to use motorized gimbals, you're not going to give yourself the versatility and ability to use GlideCams when those would be better tools to use. So people are always debating which one should I get, GlideCam or motorized gimbal. I'd recommend getting both at some point. Whichever one you start with, doesn't really matter. But you're going to limit yourself if you only know how to use a motorized gimbal, whereas if you know how to use a GlideCam, you're going to be able to use this even better and have the options to use both. And we just got the Ronin DJI S in the mail, and we will be doing a comparison of the two and see how they stack up. Now for shoulder rigging, this is a $20 option, Cowboy Studios. Put your camera on there. We'll get to this stuff later, but this is a grown-up version of that. It's not put together right now. This is a shoulder rig as well. It's called a Tilta rig. This is like $1,000 compared to $20, so a lot more expensive, but you know, has weights to help make it nice and smooth. And here's these bars in the middle that would connect these two that you put the camera on. We'll talk about that in a minute. And that also comes with a focus wheel, this little guy, which is super nice, so you can focus more precisely. As you guys know, I don't do a lot of shoulder rig type stuff. I'm mostly GlideCam, but when it calls for that, that's my professional shoulder rig. And then moving on to our phone stabilizers, you guys saw I use this in the LG video. This is a Smooth 3, Zhiyun Smooth 3. And I have a Movi stabilizer that, from what I've seen, is even better than these guys. It is more expensive. I think I bought this like 6 months ago and just got it like 2 months ago. So I actually haven't even opened it because I forgot that I even ordered it. But when I get my red hydrogen phone, which I ordered a year ago and still hasn't come as well, I will put that on and try out both together. together. So eventually I will probably give you some reviews on those products. So you have it for my stabilizer corner. Real quick, let's talk about my conglomerates of charging stuff over here. So I have this strip here that allows me to plug in like 20 things at a time. I'm charging lights, I'm charging my C200, my red batteries, my 1DX Mark II batteries, my Rhino Slider batteries, my smaller Canon camera batteries. As you guys know, charging is a big part of this job. There's probably a better way to do this, better system. That's how I do it. We have a neck pillow. Super important on long trips. This was my original lighting kits. This is the Icon. I don't even think they even sell these anymore. I don't recommend these anymore as they are older, outdated technology. And then right here I have a RAV Power. This is a power supply that I take on long trips as well. Just allows you to charge phones, smaller battery, camera batteries on the go. So that's kind of a nice tool to have. Coming over to this side of the office, on the topic of stabilizer, this is my Movi M5. Still one of my favorite stabilizers. I like it better, and we'll see once I try the DJ Ronin S, but I like it better than Zoom Crane 2. It's just more, has more precision. It's just a nicer gimbal overall. It is bulkier and heavier and harder to use, but it is gonna be a more higher quality stabilization. So I use this a lot for my Red, sometimes 1DX Mark II. Small HD 7-inch monitor up here. Love that as well. You guys ask me a lot what I recommend for monitors. The only reason I have a monitor for this is because you can't look at the screen down here, so I needed an external, but normally I just look in the monitors the cameras come with. So moving on to audio, this is kind of my audio corner here. So here are some Rode microphones. This is the original Rode microphone that I probably got 4 or 5 years ago. It had these little dangly things that would pop out, so they've improved on it and created this next version that has this better cage. And since they've improved on that, and now this is the Rode Micro Plus, something like that. But this one is awesome because it turns on when the camera turns on, so you don't have to rely on battery power, which is amazing because these batteries die, then you're without sound. So that's my favorite onboard mic, is this newest version of the Rode mic. The Takstar, which is like a $20, $30 mic for onboard audio, much cheaper than the Rodes, but you get what you pay for. It is a cheaper sound, not quite as nice, but for low budget, it gets the job done. As you guys know, I have the Rode NT-G3 for all my booming audio. Had this for a long time, haven't had to upgrade it. It's a great mic, great system with the boom pole and the dead cat here. Use this for all my high-end commercial stuff. But if you're doing just interviews where you don't have to have the subject moving, you get a C-stand, which is this guy right here, and you pop this guy on the C-stand and it just holds that in place for you. So highly recommend these little gadgets. Don't know what they're called, but that saves you having to hire somebody to hold a boom mic. And then some XLR cables. That boom mic NT-G3 goes in these XLR cables and then into my Zoom H6, which is my recorder that I use to capture that audio. Moving into our condenser mics, I got the Blue Snowball just to compare, knowing that it wasn't going to be super high quality. I think it was like $50, and indeed it was not high quality. I wouldn't recommend getting this. If you're going to go cheap, this is the Blue Yeti. You can get for about $100. This is about as cheap as I'd recommend for voiceover work, and a really awesome mic for the price. This is what I currently use. This is the Rode something. It's a condenser mic that comes with an arm and comes with this awesome AI-1 audio box here. So it's an all complete package for voiceover work, for podcasts, for stuff like that, for my tutorials that you guys see. And you can see the comparison video of all these condenser mics in the comparison section. As far as lav mics, as you guys can hear, I'm currently using the Sennheiser G3s, which you can see right here. I have 2 sets of them, so one we're currently using. Here's my other set. Amazing lav mic quality, as you can hear right now. As long as we set it up right, it's going to give you amazing quality. And I recently bought a step up from that. This is called the Sennheiser AVX, I think. A little bit easier to use. It is more expensive, I think $800, $900. But I have had a little issue with sound picking up when it rubs against the cable here. But overall, I think I like this mic better, besides that small issue. I would recommend just getting the G3. This one's good, but G3 is a good, safe option, and it's cheaper. And then, of course, our $20 lav mic here. Great option for budget. Plugs into your phone or your camera. It is wired, so it's not wireless. You have to keep within a certain distance, but if you're just doing like something close to your camera, that's a good option as well. Also for the condenser mics, the Focusrite is a great audio box. This allows you to plug your mic into the XLR and then goes into your computer and allows you to control the gain input there. If you get a Yeti or a Snowball, those plug USB directly into your computer, so you don't need one of those. But for the nicer mics, you do need an audio box. While I'm down here, let's talk about my C-stand. This is a sandbag that allows you to keep some heavy stuff up here and then keep this from falling over. So we got sandbag with weight in there. Highly recommend C-stands if you're lighting a lot or, like I said, boom pulling. I got this for like 200 bucks on Amazon. They're super sturdy stands. And as you can see up here, it allows you to have arms that go off of it that can extend and allow you to have lights that don't have a pole directly underneath it that are in your shop. And speaking of the lights that it's holding, let's talk about all these wonderful lights. The next lights that I got were these Westcott Flex kits. And these are kind of a specialty lights. You know, they can attach, you can tape these to walls and ceilings, so they're super versatile, unlike any other light out there. And just super awesome, high quality lights. So I highly recommend these, but they are a lot pricier. And again, they are a specialty light. It comes with 2 lights. This travel kit I think was like $3 grand. But they're battery powered, last like 3 hours on battery power. And for the studio stuff, I like these Aputure 120Ds with the light domes. And so you guys know this is what I use for all of my interviews, tutorials here on my computer. This gives me a nice soft light built into the Aputure 120D, but this is my go-to for any interview style stuff. And Aputure just sent me a brand new Aputure 120D 2. It's about 30% brighter, but because it is brighter, they have a thicker diffuser that gives you an even softer light, but you can still get the same output as Mark 1 and then put on this thicker diffuser, get a softer light, and it's still just as bright. So I'm excited to start using this as kind of my main key light. And then for backlight stuff, you guys see here to get that blue background that you see in my videos, in my tutorials, we have the LS Mini 20D with a blue little gel here, and that gives you that nice blue tint on the background. The LS Minis aren't very powerful, but they're great for little fill light or a little backlight. So you see up here, we have one of the LS Minis backlighting my hair. And then over here, you have the Aputure Lightstorm that we talked about in my how to shoot an interview video. I like the directional light that these LS Minis give you for backlights and side lights and fill lights and all that. And I like the big 120Ds for my key lights. So I haven't found a ton of use for this guy yet. So I personally would recommend these other 2 over that. Westcott, who gave me the Flex kit, recently just sent me this Solix kit. This guy is magnetic, so kind of cool. Just pops on, a little diffuser, some barn doors. This isn't quite as powerful as, say, the 120D, but this one is probably going to be a little bit cheaper. I can't remember the exact prices on these, but these are awesome lights as well. Again, I haven't had a chance to use them a ton in depth. So yeah, those are the lights I use. Also, Aputure gave me, I don't know what they are, but they're just little mini lights here. They're just not very bright. Can fit in your pocket and you can pull out and use, but I just don't think they're bright enough for me to really have a use for them. So you might want them, I don't want them. Speaking of things I don't want, the Canon UltraShot. I don't want it. GlideCam sent me this. It's supposed to be a shoulder rig, stabilizer, and a monopod all built into one. But it really doesn't do any of those functions very well. So if you're gonna buy any of those, I'd buy something that specializes in it. I tried it out for a while. I was kind of excited to try it out because I'm like, oh good, a 3-in-1 tool. Doesn't do good at any of them. So I would not recommend the UltraShot. Save your money. I also don't like 360 cameras. I've shot a few 360 videos. I think 360 technology is useless in most scenarios. I haven't seen a good use of 360 cameras. I think the best use is maybe real estate and a few other gaming things, stuff like that. But so this is the Nikon 360 camera. We did a video for them, and honestly, it's trash. I don't recommend that one specifically, and don't recommend 360 video in general. Some of you guys do it. You have clients that want it, that's fine. I don't. But what I do like is the Alpine Pulse. This guy you can put on top of your camera that allows you to do time lapses. Some cameras do them in camera, which is great, some don't. Moving on to my droneage. This is the Phantom 4 Pro Plus. I've loved this drone, have it for a couple of years now. It's got sand in the gimbal. My brother just crashed it recently. It's been crashed like 5 or 6 times and he's doing just fine. And as far as filter goes, Polar Pro makes amazing ND/PolarRAW polarizers for them that I use 100% of the time. Allows you to knock down that shutter speed, get an awesome cinematic motion blur. So highly recommend getting polarizers as well. You can never have too much gaff tape. Use this all the time. I'm using it right now to tape the lav mic to my chest that you're listening to. Down here I have a collection of extra Manfrotto plates. So I originally bought this monopod here. This is a Manfrotto NVM 500A. The problem with this guy is this head that it comes with, it doesn't allow you to pan. There's no panning mechanism. So, I mean, it pans on the joint ball at the bottom there, but it's not very smooth. So I don't recommend this guy. One that I saw recommended by one of our students in the course, the Cyru, I think, something. But this one I like a lot better because look at the feet. This guy can hold itself up in place, whereas this guy cannot. So that's really nice. You can kind of use it as a tripod as well by just sitting it there. It also allows you to attach higher quality heads on there. So here I have the 502 Manfrotto head, which is probably my favorite head for the price. This is the monopod setup I'd recommend, not the Manfrotto one that you see there falling to the floor. And then my tripod of choice, I have two of these. These are the 5.5 X Pro B legs, again with the 502 head. So that's one of the first tripods that I bought and love and recommend. And I upgraded for the red to the Manfrotto 536 M Pro legs and the 504 HD head. So this is going to be like $1,000, I think. A lot more expensive for this setup, but this is going to allow you to get a much smoother pan, especially for bigger, heavier cameras like my red. And it also has this adjustable thing here that allows you to get level very easily versus having to adjust the legs perfectly to get it level. So it's a lot quicker and easier to level out. While we're here, this is my pad prompter. You guys probably don't realize it, but I script all of my videos. I put my phone in there. It projects the words on the screen so I can read all of my tutorial content. Looks like I'm looking directly into the camera, but I'm actually reading a script. A smaller version of this is the Parrot teleprompter. This is only like 50, 100 bucks, I think, which you can attach your phone to right in the bottom there. You could glide cam with this and be able to read your stuff on the screen there. So a great cheaper option. Over here you see my 96 terabyte G-Tech drive that I store everything on. And then down here we have the 48 terabyte that I back everything up on. My iMac Pro, super expensive, not worth the money, but still great. And then my pile of 2 and 4 terabyte WD My Passport drives. Love these guys. My Rocket 8K monitors for getting very crisp audio. So you see back here along this wall in the corner there, I have acoustic foam like you see here, which dampens the noise, keeps it from reflecting off of walls to give you more accurate readings. So if you guys are going to be buying those, I'd also recommend getting some foam. Got that I think at Guitar Center or something like that. If you don't use nice speakers, at least get some nice headphones. These aren't great for sound mixing, but these are great for traveling. These are the Bose 35s or something. Amazing noise canceling headphones that I love to use for traveling. Coming over here to this corner, I have an award for getting so many subscribers on YouTube that they felt I needed some kind of accolade, and so that's what that is. But this is my Rhino slider down here. I got the 24-inch Rhino slider and the 42-inch Rhino sliders, so these guys are my go-to sliders. You guys have seen me use them. They come with the ARC system that allows me to get amazing parallaxing panning motions. So love the Rhino slider, highly recommend it. There are other great options out there. I know Edelkrone does some great sliders as well, but I use and love Rhino and can highly recommend them. This corner right here, my employee bought me that. World's best boss. You guys know I love polarizers. I started with the B&W polarizers, and recently Polar Pro just made a new line of polarizer slash NDs for normal size lenses, not just for the drone, called the Quartz line. And so they sent me 3 different options, different densities, which means depending on how much light I have outside, I can pop on a different one that will allow me to keep my shutter speed at double the frame rate and keep that nice cinematic motion blur, whereas these other polarizers just have one density, and so you just won't be able to match your shutter speed correctly. So I see myself using these a lot more. To me, polarizers really make your images pop, bring those colors to life, and so that's why I haven't used NDs in the past, is because I like to have polarizers on my cameras instead. But now they are 2-in-1 thanks to Quartz line Polar Pro. I got some step-up rings, which allows me to get just the biggest size for my biggest lenses, and then if I have smaller lenses, I just put on a step-up ring, which allows me to use the bigger filters on smaller lenses without having to buy multiple filters. So great system they've come out with there. Excited to start using that. You'll see me using that more often. These are rugged little holders for my SD cards and my CF cards, my CFast 2 cards. So I hold all of my cards in these guys. Highly recommend these. I've seen other ones that have like Velcro straps, look like a wallet. Not as good. These guys are better. Just snaps on and off like so, and they're more safe, very durable cases. We'll leave you some links to cleaning supplies that I use and any other tools I need. This guy is super nice. For those of you who travel a lot, I talk about this in my travel tips, but this guy you hook onto your luggage, turn it on, pull up my bag, and I can see how much it weighs. Make sure that I'm under the 50-pound limit. And then you guys know I love my beautiful Ape cases that I travel with. I have two. One of them, the newer one, has wheels on it so I can wheel it through the airport and save my back. Speaking of bags, this is the bag that you can get at DJI that comes with the drone that I bought with the drone. It's like $200, so kind of expensive, but it's super nice. I like it a lot, so if you can afford it, great travel backpack. But yeah, so those are the actual bags I use. I use Samsonite travel bags, as you guys have seen in the past video. Oh, GoPro stuff, man. Down here you got my GoPro case with my Hero 6. Are we up to 6 now? I think we're on the GoPro Hero 6. Bought this guy. I used it once and I just don't like GoPro images. The only time I'd use GoPros is for like water sports type stuff where you can't bring a nice camera. But I don't do a lot of that anymore. That was more the Devon Supertramp days. So, and under here, any accessories that I need and chargers and mounts and stuff, and a helmet to mount to, and this thing came with it. That's garbage. Not a huge GoPro fan. I don't recommend people buying GoPros unless you do a lot of travel type water stuff. I have a lot of stuff that I've bought that I've just never really used or have stopped using as stuff gets outdated, and so I collect a lot of garbage and throw stuff away. But yeah, there you have it, guys. That is my office. That's what's in my bag in my office, and all the gear that I own, that I recommend, that I don't recommend. Hopefully that gave you guys a good idea of some stuff you might want to pick up, stuff you might want to avoid getting. I mean, I've probably wasted thousands of dollars on gear that I really just don't recommend, and stuff that I just don't use anymore because I've upgraded to new stuff. So some of the stuff was great in its time and now has been replaced by better stuff. I don't resell stuff because I like to give it to other people to use, to rent out and whatnot, other aspiring people coming up in the field. I'd recommend, once you know you're going to stop using something, resell it as quick as you can, because the longer you keep it around, the more it's going to depreciate in value and be worth nothing pretty soon. So there you have it, guys. That is what is in my bag. Make sure to check out kit.com/ParkerWeilbeck for links to everything. And if you have any further questions, please let me know.